When you hit into your early 20s, your brain is mature enough at that point, it's developed enough that you can start to see patterns. And you can start to say, oh, so anything negative in my life at this point is my fault. It is to do with my day-to-day behavior and habits as opposed to things that are happening to me. At that point, what you want to do is you want to start seeking out the universal truths of life. So in life, what you'll generally find is that there's a right way and a wrong way to go about doing things, okay? And this is true of almost anything in life. So for example, when you get into a car, you should always put on your seatbelt. True or not true? How many people here has been in a car accident before? Put your hand up. Look at that. Look at that. I know because I've been in a nasty car accident as well. So that should tell you that there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. You should wear a seatbelt. When you have sex, you should wear a condom. How many people in here have caught STDs? Oh, no one answers that one. So you should do that. In life, you should look for the right way and the wrong way to do things. There's the right foods that you should eat and foods that you should not eat. There's habits that you should engage in and not engage in. There's moods that you should engage in and not engage in. There's books that you should read versus influence that you don't need to be putting into yourself, such as mainstream, a lot of mainstream media. You need to, as a man in your 20s and 30s, what are some basic truths of life? You need to read. You need to fucking read. If you're not reading, train wreck, train wreck, train wreck. Why must we read? We read because older men who have been through a lot and succeeded have spent years of their life thinking of the smartest, highest quality ideas that they ever had run through their fucking brain and lay it out with editors, like with editors, to make it really good for you to read. Okay? So then you read it, and as all these stupid thoughts are going through your head, you go, oh, here's a smart thought from the 55-year-old millionaire happy person. Oh, yeah. Right? So you have to read. You have to read autobiographies, self-help, fiction. You have to fucking read. Every week you have to be reading. You have to be growing in your base of knowledge. Another universal truth. You have to strive towards happiness and long-term happiness. Other universal truths. You have to never take things personally in life. You have to learn how to work with other people and work synergistically. You have to read business books and learn how to work within groups professionally. So for example, if you're working with somebody and they piss you off, there's two things that you could do. You could say, oh God, that person pisses me off. You know, I'm just not going to deal with them. Or you can say, how can I work with this person? Because I am working with them. And if I fail to work with them effectively, what's going to happen is going to be negative. Another universal truth is you must grow. You must strive to grow, learn to grow, evolve. Don't get stuck in the same thing. There's always a right way and a wrong way to do things. Trying to get a woman with your money is wrong. Leading with money is wrong because you're going to make a girl attracted to you for the wrong reasons, and if the money goes away, she's going to leave you. Attracting a woman through your behavior and internalizing the type of behavior that attracts a woman is right. Okay? So these are just different universal truths of life. As men, we have to go and learn them. We have to find people who we connect with and learn these things from them. We also have to surround ourselves with opposing viewpoints. If you're a Democrat, you should read books by Republicans. If you're a Republican, you should read books by Democrats. You should be able to explain the opposing side's argument as well as you can explain your own argument. You should be able to understand why Obama supports healthcare and why Republicans are concerned about healthcare. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? You need to surround yourself with information. Learn how to navigate the world. Now, if you do this, you get a lot of sex, you get a lot of happiness, you get a lot of money, and you do the things that you want to do. You get a lot of positive emotions. And you get real contentness, like an actual happiness, not this like fake, like short-term bullshit happiness. On the flip side, you can choose not to do these things. You can choose to ignore it, in which case you'll have health problems, relationship problems, professional problems, and you'll be happy, but you'll be clinging on to a false happiness that is not sustainable. So for sustainability, you have to do that, okay? Now what you have to understand is that the default is failure. For example, most species are extinct. Do you guys think that America is preordained or predestined to be the world's top economy. Well, George Washington was from here, right? Isn't he cool? He's so cool. You know, JFK. He's so cool. Lincoln. You guys are the country of Lincoln. Benjamin Franklin. How could you not be number one? But if America doesn't keep doing the things that worked and evolving simultaneously to meet the new challenges, what's going to happen? You fail. Who here's ever been to Argentina? I lived in Argentina for 3 months. What happens if you go to the bank machine too late in the day in Argentina? You never tried? Okay, you can't get your cash out. Why can't you get your cash out late in the day in Argentina? It's because in 2001, they had an economic crash. What's amazing about Argentina is you go there, and there's all these nice buildings. Great place to take a vacation. I mean, awesome. Buenos Aires, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, awesome. But you're looking at a failed state. If you think in your mind that you're going to succeed because it's all going to work out, no, it's not all going to work out. Actually, no. You have to make the right decisions in life. So one such decision, an example of a decision, is the decision to learn from harsh feedback. And when the harsh feedback happens, you have two choices. One thing that you can do, this is up to you. You can do whatever you like, okay? Whatever floats your boat. One thing you can do when you get negative feedback is you can get mad at the person who gave it to you. You can feel really bad. You can indulge in negative self-talk. You can make a little crybaby movie out of it called The Wambulance. It's up to you. You can do that if you want to. Or you can say, I don't take it personally. I'm going to examine what influences in them might have caused them to be nasty to me. And I'm going to look at what behavior I had in myself that generated that type of response. And maybe it's random, and if it's random, I'm not going to take it personally or read into it. And maybe it's something that I did, and if so, I'm going to make adjustments. And maybe it's, just someone who's cool and I'm cool, but we just had friction, and I'm not going to take that personally. But whatever it is, you're going to take it as another brick in the palace of indifference to outcome and just learning to become better. And that's a personal decision that you make in life. And what I believe is that in life, we tend to always know what the right decision is. I think that we kind of know, but we don't always have the strength to do it. When you go to a restaurant, you have a choice to put the right food in your body or not. That's a choice that you have. And think of all the times that you haven't done it. Now, how old are you? Yeah, 25. Do you know anyone else who's in their 20s that died of cancer? Anyone here know anyone in their 20s that died of cancer? Sure. And in their 30s. I do. I've had a, friend of mine who died of cancer in his 20s. If he wouldn't have eaten bad food, I bet you he wouldn't be dead right now. Now, that's not for sure. Definitely not for sure. But I would speculate. Now, in your 20s, the chance of dying of cancer from bad food is astronomically low. Now, once you hit your 30s, it's really, 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 really low. In your 40s, it's pretty low. In your 50s, it's low. In your 60s, it's actually quite possible. In your 70s, it's very possible. In your 80s, it's likely. But you don't know who you are. You don't know which one of those ones you are. So every time you put something bad into your body, instead of finding healthy food that tastes good, because there's actually a lot of healthy food that tastes really good, you're making a bad decision. Any night that you choose to just stay inside and not go out, if you're trying to learn success with women, you made a bad decision that day. Sometimes it's good to stay in. Sometimes going out is the bad decision. But if it was the right decision to go out, then you made a bad decision. If you don't call back and follow up with your numbers, you probably made a bad decision. You know then you're making the right decision when you're making the bad ones. So what is the challenge, I think, in game is learning to make the right decisions and strengthening that prefrontal cortex, those willpower muscles. Most of our thoughts and behaviors from day to day are autopilot. This is what most people don't realize. We think that we're in control. Not really true. We're mostly on autopilot. And we have different permutations of similar behaviors from day to day. And then what we do is from after the fact, from the point of being after the fact, come up with a narrative to rationalize all the behavior that we've been doing in order that it makes sense. If you go to the club and don't approach, you probably have a narrative of why that makes sense. So part of reclaiming the thoughts from autopilot and putting it into the prefrontal cortex is like a daily process whereby you're looking at behavior and saying, how can I strengthen that willpower muscle so that I'm awake more often, so that I'm making decisions proactively and not reactively more often. And the better that you get at this, I mean, think of all the success you'd have in life if you just always made the right decision. I mean, it'd be pretty crazy, right? But it's just so fucking hard. It's so fucking hard because so much of our mindset is on autopilot. But what you need to understand is this is very cyclical. When you start making right decisions, you start attracting people who also make right decisions because they're willing to be around you. And then your personal standards change. And then you're more likely to treat yourself better because you're seeing the payoffs. Most people, however, are caught in a cycle of mediocrity and a lack of self-control. They're not pushing themselves hard enough. And it's too hard to get the initial gravity, the initial momentum to pull out of it. I think of humans oftentimes as the difference between like a loose piece of sand versus a hard rock. Most people have simply not been exposed to the type of experiences that would harden them. So you need to proactively harden yourself to build that willpower. One of the reasons why I love pickup, why I love it to death, is not just sex. Every guy, who's emotionally healthy loves to have sex. Of course, I like to have sex and plan to have, there's going to be thousands more hours of my life spent having sex, and that's fantastic. But what I like about the game especially is there's a couple key channels that you strengthen as a result of playing the game, okay? And this is about making correct decisions and how the game will pay you back when you make the correct decisions. So one of them is the idea of being clear in your intent. Very, very hard. Very fucking hard. Here's why. You could be watching this video or sitting in this audience and think, oh, if I see a pretty girl, I'll go approach. You can tell yourself that. You can talk a big game. A lot of motherfuckers talk a big game when they're talking. Let's see you play a big game when you're in that venue of fucking stunners and you're stuck in your head. It's very different. Because when you're in that venue and you talk a big game about how you're going to do all the right things, you get out there and you're like, ugh. You're like, fuck it. This fucking sucks. You're like, I don't know why I'm like this right now. You're just stuck in your head. So one thing that amazes me is that ability to approach when you're supposed to. Just being there and just being like, there's a stunner. I'm going to approach now. I'm going to go say hi. And just doing it, okay? There's literally months that I've spent just doing hard opens that scared me. Literally just doing open to open to open. That's not even good game, by the way. But literally just training myself to open quickly, like on the fly, like doing it at the right time. What's interesting is that when you train yourself to do that, it actually makes your game worse. Why do you guys think that is? Thoughts?
You're uncalibrated.
It could be uncalibrated.
Lose your closing ability.
Lose closing ability. What else?
Okay.
Yeah, basically, here's what it is, okay? I think what you said there, it's only one dimension of it. Is the whole game just going up to girls you're afraid to approach? Not remotely. The game, a big part of the game is having fun, being happy. How happy does it make you when you're going up to girls that you're frightened to approach again and again and again? What's that doing to your adrenal system? It's actually stressing you out. You're literally going from girl to girl. You're stressing yourself out. Have you guys ever seen the program Flawless Natural, Woo plus Intent? You got to be clear in your intent, but you got to be having fun. You can't just be going like a fucking soldier. You're like, hoif, 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 keep going, soldier, hi-yah, right? Like you can't, it's not like that. And then opening, and then you're gonna get laid. You gotta be fucking laid back and chilling and different and fun. That's how you're most likely gonna get laid. But when you're doing hard approaches, you're pushing on that intent muscle, right? Well, then from there, so I love that, by the way. I love that. Like, I love it when I'm on, and I'm out with friends that don't know that I do this, and a girl walks by, and I'm sitting at a restaurant, and I just fucking leap out, grab her, dump her on my lap, grab her head, and we start making out, and then I drag her outside. And just seeing the shock on my friends' faces. I love seeing that. Like people that don't know that I do this, they're like, what the fuck just happened? He knows her, he must know her. I love that. And well, how did that happen? It happened because all those girls that walk by who I didn't approach, eventually at one point in my learning curve, I said, I'm gonna approach stuff that scares me. So I start examining when my willpower is breaking down and when I'm making the bad choice. And I say, I'm gonna make the good choice. So I pull the girl in, blam, you know, or say I just pull the girl in, but I don't kiss her, but I knew I could have. And again, I made the wrong choice. So I examine myself and I go, okay, how could I make a better choice? And I feel the pain of that, the self-criticism, but in a proactive way, not like a fucking reactive way, like a good self-criticism. Like, okay, man, come on, you're being fucking lame. Next time, step up, that was fucking lame, right? And so as opposed to, I fucking suck, I quit, right, which is lame. So, you know, you do that and you build it up. It's very fun. So that's one element of the game. And I love strengthening that muscle. I love going out and being in that daze where you're kind of just walking around and you don't approach anybody. You're like, I don't want to do this, right? And you start to go in a downward spiral and go, no, I'm going to salvage this night. I'm in a bad pattern. I'm going to pull myself out of it. I'm going to go to an awesome night. I love wrestling with the fear. I love wrestling with with not wanting to take action and just pushing through. I love that. Like I've had nights where I just had so much inner resistance and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. And then very end of the night, I pull some girl home and sleep with her after like 5 hours of approaching. And it's like the most ridiculous feeling in the universe to have your dick in some girl's nice fucking you know what, and just looking down at her and being like, this was like the worst night of my life, and now I'm having sex. It's a great feeling. But even if you don't get laid and you just go home like in a fucking complete crash and burn, just to walk home and be like, well, I left everything back there. Like, I left it all back there. Like, you know, what else can I say? You know, like I really did. As opposed to going home and thinking about what you could have done or what you should have done, which just lowers self-esteem. That's a great feeling. It's never a waste of time to go out and do that because you're strengthening that ability to make the right decisions. I love that, man. I love that. And I love seeing the patterns. Like, you guys know I did a diet, right? You guys ever noticed that? I don't know if you knew that. Okay, so at one point I dropped 70 pounds. Okay, I went from being 205 to about 133. I wanted to go to 6% body fat. Now I've like cranked up my calories. I'm like lifting again. I'm like more muscle, more chubby as I lift, right? And I'm just, you know, just going through that cycle. But at one point I dropped 70 pounds. You know what was the fucking coolest part about it? It was seeing how willpower breaks down and learning about the art of willpower management. I love this, right? So it's like, say that you have a girl that cheats on you. Okay, say that your girlfriend cheats on you. So she goes out with one other friend to the club. They meet two cute guys, and those guys offer to take them for food, right? Now she's like, well, I'm not going to cheat on my boyfriend, but you know, she wants to go with the one guy that she likes, so I'll be the good wing girl and like just go for dinner, right? But then the guys are really funny, and they say, oh, let's go watch this funny movie. So then they go back to the apartment of their apartment and watch the funny movie. But then from there, the guy said, let's have a drink. So then they have a drink. And then the guy says, here, just come in this room and isolates her. And then the guy pulls his cock out and she sucks it and, you know, cheats on you. Where did she cheat? Did she cheat going out to just her and her friend to the club? Did she cheat by going to the restaurant with them? Did she cheat by going back to their apartment? Did she cheat by taking that first drink? Did she cheat by, when he pulled his dick out, not running away? Well, the surface level answer would be she cheated when she had sex, right? But the truth is, once a girl is having so much fun, had a few drinks, and in isolation with a guy, the chances of her having the willpower to say no are zero. It's almost zero, right? So, you know, it's like if you're gonna cheat on your girlfriend, you know, did you, like, where was it's like you need to recognize where your willpower is likely to break down, where in the chain, okay? So say when I did my diet, right? Well, what was crazy was I would notice where I would cheat on the diet. So I would maybe, say I'd go to the airport, right? Low sleep, you know, I wake up early to go to the airport, I'm on low sleep. What does low sleep do to your ability to have willpower right off the bat? Lowers it, right? Plus, when you're underslept, your brain wants a glucose hit, so you want those refined carbs. Then you go to the airport. Is there any fucking, is there a fucking Whole Food at the fucking airport? A lot of great healthy food at the airport, right? You know, Cinnabon. You have a choice between McDonald's and Cinnabon, basically. You know, you can eat a Big Mac or a fucking Cinnabon, right? You're like, I'm eating the Big Mac. At least I didn't get the Cinnabon. But now that I cheated, I might as well get the Cinnabon. So it's like the girl, like, now that I sucked his cock, I might as well take it up the ass. I'm gonna do it, might as well do it right. So the thing is, like with the diet, you'd see where your willpower breaks down. Well, look, if you go out to a venue by yourself, and you don't like going to venues by yourself, and you walk around aimlessly through the venue for 15 minutes, are you gonna suddenly stop and approach that 10? No way in hell are you gonna do that. So now maybe you're someone who would, and if that's the case, don't let my limitation become your limitation. But for most people, that's not the case. So like, where did you fuck up? Did you fuck up 15 minutes in when you did an approach, or did you fuck up earlier? You see that? So then you realize that you fucked up your night earlier, and you can actually build willpower muscle because it's like self-awareness. You build self-recognition. So you go in the venue and you're like, I'm alone. Now some days maybe you're just kind of chill. Maybe you don't feel the pressure to approach anybody. You're honestly just chill. But say that you can feel, no, I'm not in that point. You go, I'm going to approach someone right now. How many times, for example, have you been making out with a bunch of different girls that are kind of average, and then the stunner goes by, but because you didn't push yourself a little bit higher, you're too afraid to approach? Who here has ever experienced that? Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. You know, like I'm fucking kicking ass, and I'm like, motherfucker, woo! You know, I'm like, yeah, right, like killing it, and then the fucking stunner walks by, and I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, I basically lied to myself this whole past hour. You know, I've basically been like partying it up with the fucking, with all this and thinking I'm the shit. And I didn't quite have the, you know, the point, the momentum to get to that point, right? So there's little things that you can do. You know, for example, you can learn that if you walk into a venue, of course this will become another classic like RSD making me weird lesson. But you know, if you walk into a venue and you go, hey, right when you walk in, do you guys know what that does to your brain? It actually unstifles you because your brain goes, oh, no one here fuck with me. So it actually builds up your ability to have your own willpower as opposed to being pushed down by autopilot.
I saw you do
little
that
things like that.
video, and I start doing that.
Did it work? Sweet.
All the time. Yo, me
Sick.
and this guy, we go out, we dance with each other, and girls just come up to us. You guys look like fun.
Really?
Yeah, so you want to see the dance you did?
Yeah, because that totally sounds like RSD fuck me up situation. Yeah. Okay, so the free tour is over, guys. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah. Okay, but well, I mean, I'll say this: what you just did there, certainly, as gay as that was, this is the gayest thing I've ever seen. You're probably a lot closer to pulling a 10 than he is. That's the truth. Like, that's the fucking truth. Okay, so interpret that how you will. I don't know how to interpret that, but yeah, like, okay, so you guys actually dance with each other and girls come?
Oh, dude, all the time.
Really?
You know what? I feel like.
Do you guys really have something you want to reveal to each other? No, it works, huh? It actually works. So you guys have learned. Okay, so joking aside, okay. Well, are you guys getting laid from this?
Yeah.
You are too? Okay, so there you go, right? Yeah. No, are you getting laid from each other? Okay, no, you guys are pulling from time to time, right?
We found out.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you guys are pulling from time to time. Okay, so point being, as gay as that may look, you guys are getting laid by fucking cute girls. That's an example of things that you realize will build up willpower. So what I love about the whole game is that you get to see different examples of where your willpower will break down versus when your willpower, you know, goes ahead. And I like as well just like seeing different little lessons that you get. Like, for example, there's like a right way to game and a wrong way to game, okay? And the right way generally, and this isn't totally the right way because there's different angles you could take at it, but a general explanation of the right way is like approach the girl, step to her properly. And there's a proper way and you have to know it, okay? And you step to her properly, you don't hit on her, as in hitting on her, you know what I mean? Even though you're being direct, you're not hitting on her. You're not too aloof, but you're not needy. There's like this nice balance, okay? There's just like this perfect balance that when you hit it, it's like this ting of like this nice balance, and it just fucking works. And then even on whether it's text message or phone, there's just a right way to communicate, right? And you've got all these like little needy thoughts in your head, or like romantic, prematurely thoughts in your head, or whatever it is, but if you can just make yourself stay in abundance, it's gonna work awesome, right? And you can see yourself when you kind of fall off of it a little bit, and then you come back. I love that. And like, I love how when like an example is like, say I'm in the venue and I got this like fucking stunner, right? And I've kissed her and like I've got this stunner on me and I feel myself wanting her. And maybe one of my wings will come up and I'll feel insecure when he comes up. You know what I mean, right? And I go, why do I feel insecure when my wingman came up? Because, you know, say he has really good game and gets laid a lot, right? Oh, because I'm not in abundance. And I have a choice at that moment. I can stay on her and like really try to get her, or I can go, no, it's time to start having fun. I go, hey, nice to meet you. I'll see you in a bit, okay? Just go, make out with like 5 other girls, party, have fun, and then come back to her totally fucking like a block of ice indifferent, pull her and fuck her. I love that. You know what I'm saying? I love it when I get like a crush on one of the girls I'm seeing, like too much, and then she starts to become aloof, and I say, enough. Enough of that shit. I'm past that. Come back to center. Come back to activities that I love and enjoy, and then make her chase me. These are the things that I love, right? I love in the game the indifference that it cultivates. That's another channel, right? So one is like willpower. But on one level, you're building this super intense willpower, but the other thing you're cultivating is massive indifference. And the lessons that that takes, and how when you get hooked on one girl, she leaves, right? And then you build up indifference, and looking at the different things that fuel the indifference. And that comes from like happiness in your own life, things like meditation, good food, good sleep, good activities, being on your purpose in life, and also reading great books about indifference. You know, like I like to read books about being indifferent, like Eastern philosophy and things like that, gaining perspectives that help you to achieve that indifference. I love that, okay? Things like self-amusement. The idea that you're not the typical Westerner who lives this bleak existence of working all day to pay for things that stimulate you. Like, oh, I go work like a little rat, and then I fucking, and then I pay a movie to stimulate me. But actually making the choice to stimulate yourself. You guys know what I mean? That's a challenge. That's a muscle. Things like looking to yourself for your own opinions, cultivating your own values, cultivating your own sense of who you are, and not using mirror neurons to get good emotions by trying to feed off of the emotions of the other person, but generating it within yourself through your perspectives, through the fun that you're having, and those kind of things. I love that. Becoming more cemented in your own reality, and the challenge of that. In order to become a true fucking boss, you have to be that guy. And the challenge of that, the muscle that the game builds in that. The logistics, the logistical puzzle, thinking in the moment, blasting through different things. I love that. You guys see what I'm saying here? A big one. You guys want to know, I think, the biggest one of all? This is the craziest fucking shit, I think, in the whole thing. Craziest thing in this whole fucking game, in my personal opinion. The psychological transformation that happens as your sense of entitlement increases. Who here knows immediately what I'm saying when I mention that? A couple of you guys. I've personally found that as your sense of entitlement of what you deserve increases, you change, you transform. It's shocking. It's really shocking. I'll be out in Miami for like 3 weeks, and as my game is just improving and improving every day, I won't be able to sleep. It's very weird, and it's like I can feel my brain rewriting the software. It's like it's like old bad software is being erased out, and the new software is being updated. Like in my mind, and I wake up after like 4 hours sleep, and I'm like, ugh, and I'm like, God, I'm in this fucking manic state. I'm like, I can feel I'm changing. Like I can feel myself changing. It's like fucking weird, like really fucking weird. And I'm like dreaming about the shit that's happening too, you know, and then I go out at night and I pull again, you know, and then I go to sleep like another 4 hours. I go out another night, pull again, sleep like another 4 hours, and I can feel it changing. And the reason why I speculate, this is pure speculation, but I've always found I have a good intuitive sense of what's happening just after all these years of doing it. What I think is happening is that money, status, women, like all these things, are very deeply connected. And as you start pulling women that are hotter than you're supposed to be able to get, and faster than you're supposed to be able to do it, your brain starts to be like, oh my God, you are that fucking champ. And it actually like opens up your mind in weird ways. I've had guys that have given me feedback that they feel like they're becoming smarter from success in the game. And I don't mean to oversell the game here, you know, like, learn the game and you become smarter, because I can sure as hell tell you I've met guys that became dumber from the game. So, you know, so it depends on how you're going about it. But I've had guys give me that feedback, and I think that what happens is that as your sense of status goes up, you lose that glazed over look in your eyes that the masses have, and you start to become fucking aware. Just your awareness increases, and what you feel like you deserve out of life increases, and you're not afraid to go after things anymore. It's very, very intense, like that literal change in what you're entitled to out of life. Because do you guys realize that whatever you think you're entitled to is about what you can get? Do you guys get that? That's basically how it works. If you think you're entitled to a girl, you're able to be cool and normal in front of her. And if you think you're not entitled, your brain floods you with all these ways to make her like you. And then you can't think straight and you can't be cool and normal. When you can just walk up to a stunner and be cool and normal, your chances with her are the best that they can be. Because you're showing her that you're entitled for it. If only we could act towards perfect 10s the way that we act towards 6s, right? That's entitlement right there. We don't want to be too low, because when the girl's too low, we're not engaging, because we don't feel like dealing with her. But when she's too hot, we become stifled in and we can't be cool and normal. So we tend to hit a sweet spot, which is like just about the point of what we think that we can get. as we keep going in the game, we're able to go for hotter and hotter. We're able to go for girls that would have intimidated us. And we're able to communicate with them in a more normal, fluid way. So I love that about the game. I love traveling and going into environments where you're not used to playing the game. Going into environments that intimidate you, frighten you, pushing the envelope. Do you guys see that? That's what this shit is about. And of course you're gonna have tons of sex. Like, you get laid all the time. But you get laid so much that it's not a big deal anymore. So there has to be something more that drives you to keep pushing it. Because, you know, if you're gonna fuck 4 girls in a week, I mean, there's a point where you're so sleep deprived and oversexed that you're just indifferent to it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you weren't using condoms, you could just fucking fuck. But, you know, assuming that you're doing it properly, right, with a condom, you know, after a while, like, you might get to the 3rd or 4th one. It's like you can't even fucking finish because you fucked the other one so much and you're using a condom. But the game itself is just, it's so fucking cool like that. I love the fact that you take decisive action. You know, like, it's like, now it's time to pull. This is the fucking time. And you do it. But then you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? You're wrong. And then you go, I was wrong? Right? And then you learn from it. And you just keep doing it. And you learn how to learn. What's crazy is that you learn how to learn. Success in the game teaches you how to learn something. And it's so amazing, too, because you can do it alone. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a team to do it. All you need is a fucking venue. And you can do it anywhere. And it's basically free, and if not free, then very cheap. So something that you can do anywhere and teach yourself. Have any of you guys ever read the book The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle? Okay, so basically what he explains is that our brains actually rewire themselves for the activities that we do most frequently. So when you're constantly taking that action or self-amusing yourself, things like that, you're actually rewiring your brain to be capable of doing that. Very cool. Very fucking cool. So I love it, you know, I love it. And I find, like, for me, it's no different than, like, lifting weights in the gym or, you know, learning a sport. The only difference, I'd say, from lifting weights in the gym or like a sport, and actually you could argue that sports or weightlifting is like this, but the way it's a little bit different is the game is a little bit more of an art than a science. You guys ever notice that? It's a little bit more of an art than a science, because it's not just about doing the exact right things like a robot, which a lot of like computer engineers wish that it was, but there's like it's like an art form. It's about the soul that you bring into it. It's about the energy and soul that you bring into it. It's about human connection and having like different connections with people and human behavior and things like that. So I love that about it too. I actually love the fact that it's not completely mechanical, because a lot of students I think would just wish that it was mechanical because it'd be easier to wrap their brain around it and they could just get laid and solve the problem and go home. But I love the fact that it's an art and that you can keep playing with it and keep doing it. In fact, I love it so much that I've literally held myself back from many opportunities because I want to be able to keep playing the game. Have you guys ever got that sense from me? I don't know if you guys can sense that. I literally love it so much. It's such a source of who I am and like personal power for me that if I were to lose it out of my life, I'd be lost. I love it that much. It's that much of a passion for me. It's that much of a love. It's my love. It's my life. It's my passion. It's just everything to me is the game. It's everything. The sex, of course. Who doesn't want to have sex? But like the journey itself. Do you guys see that? The journey itself is everything. I love the journey. It's who here's ever read The Wheel of Time by Carlos Castaneda? Anyone ever read that? Anyone ever read The Warrior of the Light by Paul Coelho? Okay. Anyone here ever read Mastery by George Leonard? Okay. Well, those are great books. If you want to understand why I play the game, read those books. What he says in The Wheel of Time, for example, is that the warrior, right? But as men, we all like to think we're warriors. The warrior, he has to choose any path and put his whole heart into it. Do you guys see that? You have to choose a path that resonates with you, and then you just totally put yourself into it. And when you put yourself into it, it hardens you. It makes you stronger. We were talking earlier about women that are messed up, right? Well, a lot of them don't have this path, right? They don't have that to grow from it. But when you put your whole heart into something, like you really love it, okay, and you're willing to take your time and just walk the path to mastery, what winds up happening is that you walk the path just to walk it. Do you guys see that? You do it just to do it. You literally are doing it for no other reason than to do it. You're not worried about the result, other than as a general indication of how you're doing. But you actually view it like the time that you're allowed to put into it is the blessing. Do you guys follow this? It's literally like Like instead of it, like, you know, JFK says, ask not what you can do for your country, or what is it? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. What's the quote?
That's it. Yeah.
I got it? Okay. I'm Canadian, so thank you. Okay, so you guys can quote any of my prime ministers anytime you like, though, if you even know the name of even one of them. Okay, so do you guys know the capital of Canada? Oh, shit! East Coasters. Good shit. Most people think it's Toronto. All right, so the whole point being that you shouldn't be thinking, what can I get out of the game? But rather, how can I have the privilege to even play the game? Why it's even a privilege that the game exists at all? Why it's even a privilege that you could get hot girls by learning this stuff? The fact that maybe you're not born as some super good-looking guy that gets it easy, which even most of them don't even, but some do. That's a privilege that you can learn the art form of it. That's a privilege. It's a privilege to be allowed to go out and put the time in. That's a gift. You guys need to understand that. You walk it just to walk it. You walk it to walk a path. If you don't like the pickup stuff, walk some other path. But if you're watching this, if you're here at this event, you're watching it, you probably resonate with it. So that means it's a good path for you. There's actually another great book too to read called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. And what he says is that the fucking pro, he wakes up every day and he'll say he's a writer, for example, and he's gonna do his writing, okay, every day. And some days he's gonna do well and like the muse is there. You guys know what I mean by the muse? Like the fucking soul that like is almost like unidentifiable that will just come in and be there. And other days it's just not there and you're just gonna sit there. But see, what the amateur does is they only wanna write on the days where they're fucking feeling it, right? But what the pro does is he puts his time in no matter what, because he doesn't want he knows that he has to give himself to the art before the art will give something back. In the case of pickup, that doesn't mean don't try to pull. Try to pull. Try to pull like a fucking motherfucker. Okay, try to get the result. Of course, burn shit to the ground. Of course, hammer it out until the bitter end. But the point being is that you want to be thinking of what you can put into it. You have to know that the game will give back to you when it's ready. The game gives back when it's ready. That's what's so beautiful about the game, is that you will pull that super hot girl when you're ready. And you'll look at it and you'll go, I'm glad I didn't have this experience last week or the week before, the month or year before, because this was the perfect time. If I had gotten positive social feedback earlier, that would have further cemented those bad habits that I had. As opposed to by getting the good feedback now, after I put my time into it, it reinforced those habits and then I got the result. An example would be like a weekend that I had where all year I'd been looking forward to seeing this girl that I hadn't seen all year. I'd fucked the shit out of her the year before, all year looking forward to it. And I show up in the city and she tells me she has a boyfriend. So frustrating, how frustrating, right? All year, I want her tight little body just bouncing on me all weekend. It's like a vacation for me. I'm so excited. So I go, I'm pissed, right? And I feel deflated. So I decide I'm gonna go out that night. And I go out and I meet an even prettier girl, little 20-year-old girl, right? I pull her up, I'm making out with her, and I wind up walking her back to her car. So I'm almost about to pull her, and then these other two guys come. And I could kind of sense that she's probably gonna go fuck them. But because I was feeling emotionally vulnerable from the first girl, I wanted to believe that like this girl was like too classy to go fuck somebody right now, and I just like let her go, okay? Bad decision. I see that dude out at the club the next day, he's fucking dancing and shit. I'm like, yo, what's up, dude? He's like, what's up? I'm like, yo, what'd you get into last night? Because I'd seen the dude who she had been talking to with me, even though she's making out with me right in front of him, okay, and was about to leave. He's like, oh, I got laid last night. I'm like, oh yeah, who'd you hook up with? He's like, oh, this dude's from South Africa, by the way. He's hilarious, okay? He's like, oh, you're going to be mad. I'm like, no, come on. Who'd you hook up with, right? He's like, oh, you're going to hate me. Right? He's like, oh, it's the girl you're hitting on. He's like, but friend, it's okay. He's like, I can fuck, you can fuck, we can all fuck. And he's like, friend, once you're inside that pussy, feeling so good, you just know everything's going to be okay. Right? And then and he's a little short dude from South Africa. And then I see him later like dancing with like this fucking girl, right? Dancing with this girl. And then he like goes in a little bit, right? And he's just like this, right? And the girl like shoves him off. And she's like, don't fucking touch me. He's like, okay. Like that, right? I come back 10 minutes later, he's like, like fucking making out with her and shit, because he doesn't give a fuck. And when I saw that, I said, he deserved to fuck her, because I was Mr. Butthurt, emotionally drained guy, and he was the fucking cool one. So then I went out the next night and pulled a fucking hotter girl than both those girls. You guys see that? And fucked her brains out. So then I decide, this is fucking great. This girl's got a fucking fat pad. I can crash here at her house whenever she wants, like an upgrade from the last girl. So, great, I fucked that girl, right? Really good. Well, I leave, and my fucking buddy decides it's a funny prank, because I go to grab some food late night while she's sleeping in the bed at the hotel I'm staying at. My buddy decides it would be a great prank to take his clothes off, jump in bed with her, and act confused, and then when she doesn't know my name, accuse her of like being like a robber. So, so he jumps in bed with her, and she's like, what the fuck? Right? And he's like, what's the name of the guy that you came back here with? And she doesn't know, because she just met me. So then she like ran out naked. So I'm like, you fucked this one up, right? But again, I was all butthurt, because again, I was wounded still from that other girl all along. Do you guys see that? Yeah. So then I realized, I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna be like that little South African dude from now on. I just gotta be happy in my own reality, fuck this shit, come back to fucking center, and walk the motherfucking path, all right? And then I went out that night and pulled the hottest girl of my fucking life and fucked her brains out. And it was fucking great, and everything was okay. Okay, so the little black dude was right. Okay, and the thing is, and it was amazing too. I remember just massaging her and shit, and just like, I'm like, this is probably the hottest girl I'll ever fuck. And like, I could see like her pussy was like getting wet, like I could see it, and I was like, this is gonna be amazing. And it was amazing, okay? And look at that. Most guys, the first girl, they just be all butthurt. They're just like, why she get a fucking boyfriend? Why was gone? Blah. You know what I'm saying? No, it's a commitment to the journey. You guys see that? It's when you commit to the journey, you say, I give my full faith. Faith is the operative word, to the journey. And I'm gonna put my time in no matter what. That's when good things happen. That's how the fucking beauty of it happens. And as far as what Steven Pressfield says about being a professional and putting your time in no matter what, look, the other night I went out, I was hungry out of my mind, okay? Hungry out of my fucking mind, underslept. But my buddy's like, dude, I can get you in the best club if you roll with me in the crew I'm rolling with. I'm like, oh, fuck, all right. There's no re-entry in this club. I walk into the club, hungry out of my fucking mind, tired, and my favorite place to eat, or at least definitely one of my favorites, is right across the fucking street, calling me like a siren. But if I leave, I can't get back in this bomb-ass club. But I remembered something my buddy Julian told me. He said, if you had a gun pointed at your head, you could do it. And once you start making out with different girls, you're gonna be horny. You won't be hungry or tired anyway. It's part of your DNA. So I wandered around the club for about 45 minutes, just like hungry, tired, just like, I don't want to be here. It's fucking lame. I'm forcing it too much. Da, da. And then after that, I go, no, look, fuck this. I go, I'm going home at the end of the night tonight, having walked the fucking path. This isn't about sex. I don't even want to have sex with anybody right now at all. This is about walking the path. And I'm going to walk the motherfucking path tonight. So I start fucking hammering away. And sure enough, made out with like 10 girls, all hot. Had lots of pull options. By the end of it, I was running on so much fumes, I was like stumbling around. I didn't wind up pulling anybody. Went to a restaurant, started eating some food, making out with some other girl at the restaurant. And then her friend dragged her away, but she gave me her number and said to meet up later. But I was too tired, I went home. I don't really know what would happen. But the point being was I was proud of myself, okay? You guys see that? I was proud that I walked the path that night. Do you want to know what happened the next day? Next best night of my life that I had at that point. Because believe me, after walking around fucking tired and hungry, the next day I walked out, I was like, fuck yes. I was just like walking up, ah, ha, ha. Okay, it was amazing. You guys know like those amazingly powerful nights when you're just fucking, like, you have like fucking flames coming out of your head? It was one of those nights, right? But again, it's like Steven Pressfield in The War of Art, he says you are a fucking pro. You show up no matter what. Guys ask me, they're like, how do you have bad nights after all these years? You don't understand. I'm not one of those guys that goes out when I'm in a good mood necessarily. I go out no matter what. I'm walking the path. I'm taking the journey. I'm looking for the lessons that the journey can reveal to me. I love this, okay? I love this shit. I love what it does for men, okay? Just as an art form, as an exercise for your mind, as a fucking way to build your soul. I fucking love this shit. And I think if you don't love this, then find something else. Find some other fucking like warrior's path, as Carlos Castaneda would put it, in there. Or read the book The Warrior of the Light, and by George Paul Coelho, who? Paul Coelho, okay? The guy that wrote The Alchemist. You know, read these books about the idea of having that path, walking that path, building the skill, do it for the love of it. And you know what you'll find? When you get out of that paradigm of just being a little fucking crybaby and wishing the girls would validate you and wishing that people would just be nice to you and you could just get results right now, and you focus on the journey itself, and you have a love for the journey, and you love the little elements that you've isolated, that it builds weaknesses, correcting weaknesses, building who you are, building clarity of thought, building awareness, getting rid of that fucking haze that the unthinking masses we tend to all have over our eyes, and having a brightness in your eyes that wakes up as someone who's on a path and has passion for it. The results that you will gain from this are unspeakable. Unspeakable. And as much as that might not be as good as sex is another one, sex is another one, and another one, right? When you don't even have that much nut to spare, although it won't give you that kind of endless surface level titillation, it actually gives you just about the right amount of titillation. You guys see what I'm saying? Because you still get you still get so much sex, it gives you just the right amount of titillation, it makes it fucking fun, but it also gives you the right amount of pain to the point where you just love it, okay? It's just fucking great. I think the game is the most over-delivering fucking thing I've ever seen. I've never seen something so awesome. Really, in every level, it over-delivers. You get laid with hot girls, you get lessons about life, you change as a person, you grow, you make fucking great friends out of it, it encourages you to read books, encourages you to grow yourself, you laugh your ass off. What more could you ask out of something? But again, you got to be out of that crybaby paradigm. You got to put on the fucking big boy pants and walk the fucking path. And when you do that, I think it's the most amazing thing ever. I love it. My passion. Love it to death. Couldn't ever give it up. It's the thing I was born to do. It's why I was put here. I love this shit. Anyway, I'll wrap up now. Hope you guys had fun. And thanks very much, guys.